5 for 5.
Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of InRange. I'm actually bringing you something kind of different today. You know, we get questions a lot on the channel about how do I promote the shooting sports? What can I do as a person interested in my freedoms, my firearms, or my rights to do things besides just political activism, things like the NRA, etc. And one of them really is a cultural one in which we foster this idea of firearm safety, but also competitive shooting, which is an important part of keeping this society alive, through different venues. And this is a Scholastic one. We've got the Scholastic Action Shooting Program here, which has been around for a couple of years, and we're here with the WildGats, which is kind of a play on words. The University of Arizona's mascot's the Wildcats, so here we have the WildGats, which is pretty cool. You guys have been around a couple of years. I believe the Scholastic program's been around longer than that.
Yes.
Yes, the Scholastic Action Shooting Program started 6 years ago.
Okay.
And as a result of that, we've now got over 1,400 athletes in the program. And the program's geared towards athletes anywhere from middle school up through full-time college enrollment.
It's pretty broad in scope. So let's start off right from the beginning. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves as part of the WildGats and tell me what you do with the organization, and then we'll go from there.
My name is Kyle Patterson. I'm the treasurer. I manage all the finances.
My name is Tyler Brown. I'm the president.
And my name is Bill Perkins, and I'm the head coach.
So we were saying this is a national program, and it starts from just the lower levels of school. What grades and up, essentially?
Essentially middle school, so 6th grade and up. We do have some 5th graders.
Wow,
but
okay.
generally speaking, most of our participants is from 6th grade through full-time college enrollment.
Okay, I was just out filming some of your practice day. This is a Thursday. I think you practice every other Thursday and every other Tuesday or something along those lines. A lot of what you're doing here looks like what I would call Steel Challenge. Is that the scope of this program, or does it extend beyond that?
It is. Well, the whole idea with our program is we're an introductory sport. So what is different about our program is we start from low ready. We don't draw out of a holster. And our stage designs, we have 4 stages. Steel Challenge is 8. So now when athletes come to our nationals, we had over 980 athletes participate in our nationals this past summer. And so we have 2 full competitive sets. So we've got kids on the range all day long, you know, for 9 days at our nationals.
Cool. Where are the nationals held? Do they change every year, or is it always in the same place?
This year and last year, they were in Ohio
Okay.
at the Cardinal Center shooting range. And next year, they'll be in Ohio as well.
Oh, cool. So, you know, people that watch InRange regularly have seen Steel Challenge on our videos once in a while. Steel Challenge really is a good venue for that sort of introductory course, because you do stand generally in a static position, and with 22 LR, for example, you don't generally drop a holster, you just come from low ready.
Right.
And it's about how many plates can you get in a certain duration of time. I think it's always 5 plate exposures with a stop plate. And so bing, 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 and a stop plate, and it's all about speed and accuracy. It's a target transition and keep it on target. And that really is a very good way to start people off. It's a safe environment. And is it always 22 LR with the WildGats, or?
No, so we are 22 and 9mm in
Okay.
pistol,
All right.
22 LR in rifle. And tailing off of that beginner standpoint, we actually have a shooter out here that you filmed already, who you would never be able to tell that this is his 4th practice. This is his 4th time shooting a gun ever.
I can tell you, I didn't know when I was filming. I went out there to film some B-roll for this footage, and I had no idea. So that shows that this program is absolutely working in that regard, because, you know, running the 2-gun action challenge match, I definitely see people of a broad scope of experience and capabilities, and it's pretty obvious when someone's brand new, because it's not a safety thing, but you can kind of see the muzzle doing things it shouldn't or whatever. They're not familiar with the range commands, and those are all things that are part and parcel to getting started in any of the action shooting sports, Steel Challenge or otherwise.
A lot of that has to do with our coaching staff. Bill has done a great job, and the National has done a great job in creating a curriculum that allows people to come in, understand safety, understand fundamentals of shooting, marksmanship, and just firearms handling in general. And that reflects in that individual today looking absolutely amazing in terms of just being able to come up and shoot, and he's going to be one of our fastest shooters, I guarantee it.
Yeah, I mean, there is some people absolutely have an innate natural skill, but you can also always garner on top of that. So practice plus natural skill equals score, generally speaking. So tell me more about where the program birthed from. Where did this come about? How did it come to be in existence?
Back in mid-2000s, the National Shooting Sports Foundation wanted to create a program. And so the very first program they actually created was a clay target program. And in 2007, that program spun off and became what is now called Scholastic Clay Target Program. So the Scholastic Shooting Sports Foundation, which is our parent organization, now has 2 programs, the Scholastic Clay Target Program and the Scholastic Action Shooting Program. So the Clay Target has been under the Scholastic Shooting Sports Foundation umbrella for 10 years, and our program is just starting its 6th year.
Okay, so, all right, so really not that much of a difference then. You got about 4 years of clays specifically, and then it turned into action shooting, or included the action shooting sports
right.
4 years later. The clays being what, trap and skeet, I'm assuming?
Trap, skeet, sporting clays, and another really neat, interesting element about our program is we're feeder sport for the Olympic programs. So when you look at the U.S. Olympic team, the clay target program has actually been around since about 2001. And so as a result of that, about 70% of the individuals that are on the Olympic shotgun team came out of Scholastic clay target program. Now our program's young enough and we're developing athletes. Our programs, we feed into women's sport pistol and men's 25-meter international rapid fire, which are 2 Olympic sports as well.
Wow, awesome. So how do you get your students? How do they get into the program?
One of our biggest ways of recruitment is through the UA, what's it called?
It's the club fair.
Club fair.
Club fair. So a club fair, for those of us that are maybe not so collegiate as you, a club fair is what, a day where everyone gets together and there's all sorts of different clubs presented at the school?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
it's an event at the university, and all the different clubs from the university get together, and they have a huge recruitment event, basically.
I assume this could be anything. It could be knitting to WildGats. So we're talking about anything across the board that's an approved club at the school.
Yes.
How do you become an approved club? This is an approved, officially sanctioned club at UofA?
Correct.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Sounds a lot like running any sort of match, even at an official club. If you're nationally sanctioned or being part of the NSSF or whatever, that really does help glide things along quite a bit.
Right.
So, but I think some people in the audience might be surprised. I don't think I was, but I mean, you know, back in the ye old days of America, the idea of a shooting club at a college was really probably not that unusual. But we think now in 2017, we would think that would be a harder thing to pull off.
It is.
Is it? Okay.
Well, it is. I mean, when you look at the U of A actually used to have a shooting team in the basement of Bear Down Gym up until 1983. And I know members of that shooting team, and they've told me I was the last guy to shoot in that basement. And so that got shot down, and there has not been a shooting program with the U of A until the shotgun team came along a few years ago. And now we're the second shooting team at the U of A.
So when we say this is a national program, I realize we're focusing on the WildGats today, but is it across all 50 states or?
Yeah, well, actually, we've got teams right now in 37 states.
Okay.
So there's, I would love to go to Hawaii and help start a team out there.
Sure, totally. Yeah.
So-
So I only asked that because I wonder, because Arizona is a pretty generally firearms-friendly place. And so, for example, our state flag came from the national matches before we even were a state.
right.
So that's indicative of how much the firearms is embedded in Arizona's DNA.
So one of the cool things about our program is that there's actually teams in Arizona where you can get your varsity letter by participating in the shooting sports.
That's pretty cool. So that really does speak to the DNA of it being part of our state.
Right, and it's school endorsed. I mean, it's not just colleges.
Right.
There's actually high schools as well and middle schools as well.
Wow, yeah, no, that really adds to it. It's not just a college thing. As you said, you had people as young as the 5th grade. So is it the same course of fire for the youngins as well as the adults?
It
the
is.
older kids?
What changes for 5th grade is what we call rookie division. They can only shoot rimfire rifle.
Okay.
And then once they enter middle school, that's where we get vast majority of the bulk. We pick up a lot more athletes there, and then they can shoot rifle and pistol.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, when you're bringing up kids or you're starting with someone that you're not quite sure of yet, and you want to keep safety paramount, long arms are definitely easier to deal with than pistols.
Right.
Mounted machine guns are even easier, but that's a whole other program, right? Hard to move the break the 180 with one of those. That's pretty awesome. Like I brought up at the beginning of the video here, is like, you know, one thing is political activism, but another one is cultural. And the NSSF doing this is a cultural movement.
Right.
You know, the more people that are out shooting, the more people that are being responsible with firearms from the youngest age possible, that's reasonable, of course, I think the more we actually win this, I hate to say culture war, but this cultural debate. Because now people doing things that are responsible and competing in a sporting-like environment changes the paradigm, I think, to people that don't understand guns.
Correct.
I think that's what we're seeing here, and as well as some other programs. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we get a lot more people that are educated. Some of the people that join the team, you know, they stated right up front, look, I just want to know how to use it safely. And they don't have any competitive urge.
Oh, interesting. So you can join this program for just that.
Right.
Oh, it's much broader in scope than just competition then.
Right. We do have the non-competitive aspect to it in the sense that you talked about the social or communal aspect of it.
Yep.
There are a lot of people that come through the U of A who have come from California or view a lot of Hollywood movies and view guns as a negative thing or a death beam or a laser.
Yeah, their
like
perspective is completely askew.
It's warped,
Totally,
right?
yeah.
And one of our goals is to be able to take that sort of mentality and mindset and be able to put a real world backing to it and give them the experience so they can see it out on the field and say, oh wow, it's a hunk of metal that takes a bullet, that strikes a primer, that ignites a chemical reaction and pushes a piece of metal out.
Right.
It's basically throwing a rock.
Yeah.
Okay, well if I handle it safely, I know that it's not going to do something evil all on its own, and that I can be responsible with it, and that I can help other people to be responsible with it. We are able to take those individuals and bring them out and give them that experience.
So you take them out for just like a range day of sorts, where it's like a
No,
safety
they can
training?
join the team, or
Okay,
they can
sure.
actually get experience with it. They learn the skill set, they learn the fundamentals of marksmanship, they get involved with the community. We have people that go to local events.
I see. So you can be part of this without necessarily being part of the competitive side of it. You
Correct.
can come out and be part of the practice
That's right.
day,
That's
part
right.
of that normalization process, learning how to use these things, but you don't have to necessarily go to the nationals.
Right.
So, one other thing I wanted to bring up is you actually, besides the steel challenge type shooting that we saw here, I've had some of your shooters at my two-gun match, including yourself, of course, and you as well. So is that part of the Wildcats, or how does that work?
It's not officially
Okay.
part of the Wildcats as far as the team goes. However, as with any club, you have people who are like-minded and interested in the same things. I actually got into Pima Pistol Club through running this team, and I'm now a match director of one of the matches up there. So you've seen Pascal, you've seen,
Oh, yeah.
he shot your two-gun match and did really well.
Awesome.
That allows us to expand to other matches and get people involved in USPSA, IDPA, Steel Challenge, Steel Workers, which is Pima specific, or two-gun, or any other match, even three-gun. I know that the shotgun team has approached us and has asked about three-gun training because
Sure.
they want to start getting into the three-gun aspect of it.
Totally.
So this club allows us to get into other sports, but it isn't specifically about those.
No, I understand. So, but can you sponsor your members in a way, like they can go shoot that, and you're just kind of helping them do that?
Right. So we'll go as a team, if you will. We'll carpool. The benefits that we get from being a part of this team in ammunition or in equipment or stuff like that obviously transfer over.
Oh, awesome.
Sponsors who are involved in USPSA or IDPA, their equipment can be used for practice here, but then it immediately goes out and you'll see people competing in Wildcats uniforms with sponsors on the back of our shirts. Those things all happen in local matches and will begin to happen on a wider front as we start to move out and expand. As our endowment grows, we'll be able to compete on a larger scale.
You can actually sponsor these guys to do whatever, guys or girls, to do whatever they see is their interest level in the shooting sports.
Yeah, just to give you an example, last year I was taking my high school team, I have a second team. I was taking my high school team back to nationals. And so we showed up in a match, and the first question the match director asked was, well, are you guys new? I said, well, we've never shot this before, but they're not new shooters. Well, I've got 4 15-year-olds with me.
Yeah.
So, of course, at the very beginning of the match, we get a lot of attention. They really make sure we're safe. And then, 2 of my shooters actually set the match score. And so, very quickly they realized, oh, okay, well, they're actually not new shooters.
Right, yeah.
And so, but we were new to that specific sport. So the lesson is that what we're trying to do is we're teaching those fundamentals, and then they take those exact same fundamentals and they can apply them to this sport, or this sport, this sport.
Well, the fundamentals
or
are
any of
that
the other
because
sport.
they apply across the
They
board.
do.
Fundamentals are fundamentals.
Yeah, right.
I know you said that Midway USA is part of it, and the Potterfields help fund some of this, but where does the funding come from for these programs?
So Larry Potterfield actually has a completely separate program, but
Okay.
we're one of the programs he supports.
Okay.
And he supports the program by, for example, he will give the UofA WildGats product that we can raffle off. And then we're going to keep half that money for ourselves. And the other half we send back and we put in our team endowment account. And then Larry will look and see that deposit and he will match that money 2 for 1. So if we put $1,000 in our endowment account, instantaneously through the generosity of Larry, we'll have $3,000 in that account. And then we can draw 5% off of that every year. And we can use that to pay for travel, to pay for uniforms, to pay for ammunition, to do other things that help us make this program
That's
grow.
pretty awesome. I'm sure everyone in the audience knows what Larry Potterfield, of course, of Midway USA. It sounds like a Larry Potterfield 401k program of sorts for the shooting program.
Right.
But that's not the only source of funding.
Correct.
So we received a grant from the National Shooting Sports Foundation to start this team.
So on top of that, what can the audience do? If they think this is a really cool program, is there something that they can do to help out? Not only the WildGats, but the Scholastic Action Shooting Program in general?
Totally. One of the biggest things is funding. We are almost entirely dependent upon donations to advance the team. We do have club dues that allow us to stay at the current level that we're at, and we're self-sustaining. But the community is what will allow us to expand. And beyond that, sponsorship is huge. Industry support, I'd like to thank Glock, Smith & Wesson, CZ, Ruger, GT Targets. There are so many people who have come in and supported us, not only as a national program, but as a local Scholastic program who want to see us succeed. Our biggest limitation is ammunition, how often we can get people out to the range.
That's
And
everyone's limitation.
it's everybody, right? 22 makes it affordable for us, thankfully. We're able to get people who have never shot before out to the range, and it's easy for them. But back on point, It's up to you guys. We are able to put money into our endowment. We're able to put money into our specific team account, which our lovely treasurer here handles. And we appropriate that money to help advance shooting sports.
So not just your club? What do you mean when you say advanced shooting sports? What does that mean exactly?
That means we'd love to see competitive teams showing up in Phoenix. We don't have a sister club at ASU. To be able to have a partner or a sister club only an hour and a half away from us would be incredible.
I see, not just ammunition, but you can also expand your outreach.
Right.
You could put out some like flyers, for example, or you could have club meetups, or whatever the expenses are to get
Right,
that.
or I can go out and find someone at ASU who's willing to take on the challenge like myself and Bill were.
Make them your ambassador. That's awesome. That's a great idea. So what does the audience do? Where do they go to help with that?
Find out about the Wildcats by going to our website, which is wildgats.arizona.edu.
Okay. I will put that in the link in the description below. And how do you find out more about the national program?
The national program is SSSFonline.com, and there you can find out what teams are in your states, what teams are in your cities, and how to start a team.
Or if you wanted to actually donate to the program, you said this is a 501c3 endeavor, and it's
Yes.
a tax deduction.
It is.
That's pretty cool.
Right.
Awesome. So those will all be in the description below. If you think this is something you want to be engaged in, whether maybe you're a parent, you have a student in your home that you'd like to be engaged in a program like this, check out those websites and maybe find out one of the clubs near you, or maybe you're near Tucson. That would be even better. Or if you just want to financially support it, there's some links there for that as well. I'd like to thank you guys for taking time out today, and not only that, donating your time to run this program, because I know you're out here on a day doing this. So that's part of this, is that when we do this as a community, we rise each other up and make these shooting sports not weird anymore. They're part of the norm, right? No, they used to be the norm. They should be the norm again. But again, thank you for taking your time out today. Thank you for being on the video, and I want to thank the audience for listening to this, and hopefully following some of those links below to support these obviously very productive programs. Thanks for watching.